सेक्शन 14 और सेक्शन 15 चैप्टर 3 में से, और ये हैं पंजाब इन्फोर्समेंट एंड रेगुलेशंस एक्ट 2024 के। तो what is the primary purpose of the board under section 14? To carry out the purposes of the act. So who oversees the implementation of guidelines issued by the authority? The board. What is the role of the board in relation to the enforcement stations? To supervise, monitor and review progress and performance. What is the purpose of conducting a situational assessment? To systematically gather and analyze relevant data for decision making and effective planning. Who takes necessary measures for implementing the enforcement mechanism? The board. Who recommends budget estimates to the authority? ये भी बोर्ड का काम है. What is the purpose of seeking reports from concerned quarters? To analyze data and make better decision. Data analyze करना और better decision करना. Who proposes or sanctions payment of rewards? यानी rewards की payment कौन sanction करता है? बोर्ड करता है. What is the purpose of proposing or sanctioning payment of rewards? To recognize exceptional efforts towards accomplishing the objective of the act. यानी गैर मामूली कोशिशों को recognize करने के लिए ये किया जाता है. Who assigns additional functions and powers to the board? ये authority करती है. What is the purpose of assigning additional functions and powers to the board? To carry out the purposes of the act. Can the board exercise powers and take measures without the approval of the authority? Yes, subject to the provision of the act, rules and regulations. What is the role of the board in relation to the authority? The board is responsible for overseeing the implementation of guidelines issued by the authority. Who is responsible for implementing the enforcement mechanism provided under the act? तो ये बोर्ड है. फाइव में से जो क्वेश्चन बनते हैं वो कुछ इस तरह से हैं कि who exercises powers provided in the act or delegated by the authority or board? The chairperson of the board. What is the primary responsibility of the chairperson of the board? बोर्ड के चेयरपर्सन की प्राइमरी रिस्पांसिबिलिटी क्या है? To execute the directions of the authority for the purposes of the act. What is the role of chairperson of the board in relation to enforcement station? To monitor and ensure implementation of the act at district level. Who conducts performance reviews of enforcement stations and their employees? The chairperson of the board. What is the purpose of seeking reports and records from the enforcement station? To monitor and ensure implementation of the act at district level. Who initiates and conducts inquiries for carrying out the purposes of act or schedule laws? The chairperson of the board. What is the role of the chairperson of the board in relation to the grievances filed by the aggrieved person? Redressal of the grievance on the complaint filed by any aggrieved person. Who decides the reference sent by the hearing officer? The chairperson of the board. What is the role of the chairperson of the board in relation to the administration of enforcement stations and employees? To administer the enforcement stations and employees in the district as may be prescribed. What is the scope of the powers and function of the chairperson of the board? Ancillary to the above and for carrying out the purposes of the act or schedule laws.